Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar. Today we've invited Alltech to show you their document management solution, DocLink. The goal is to help you discover a more effective way to tackle everyday business tasks by going paperless. We'd love for this session to be as interactive as possible, so if you have questions during the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat box or the GoToWebinar question box, and we will definitely get those answered for you. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Laura Lashen, Alltech Sales Director for the Mid-Atlantic region, and turn it over to her.
Okay, well, thank you, Lindsay, and good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about some of the tools and technology available out there to help your organization to streamline your business process, to increase efficiencies, to have better management of your documents and information, and at the same time to able to go paperless. So today we're going to talk about the day in the life of just a paperless office, of how it can be in within your organization. Okay, see, we're having a little, there we go. So we all live in a world where we're used to having instant access to information. Okay, imagine you just landed in Europe somewhere, you pull out your phone, what's the first thing you do? Give me direction, how to get to my hotel or to the closest restaurant. Or what's the recipe to making quiche? So why is it so challenging to have the same access of information to our company information and documents? It's all possible, but we struggle with it every day, okay? And the problem is many of us have multiple offices throughout the world. We telecommute, we work off-site. And so it's hard to able to have access to documents and information unless you're in the office. So the idea is to have all your information centralized in one place, and yet you will be able to access them from anywhere around the world. Okay. But first, before we dive in deeper, let's talk about how you are managing your documents within your organization today. Like many of us, you have the good old file cabinet. Okay. Storing of your documents, and I'm sure you've seen the challenges. You're running out of storage space. You really don't have a real secure way of storing your documents. And of course, disaster preparedness. God forbid there's a fire, those originals are destroyed. And what about the searching of those documents, finding those documents? And that is if you can find them. Okay. And then there's also, some of you have those huge, copiers, printer, scanner in one, what we call the multi-function device. You're scanning documents and you're putting on a network share folder. That's a form of document management itself, okay? But over time, you're going to be storing more and more documents into that network share folder. And unless you're the person who stored it away, most likely you're going to have problem finding those documents. And to find those documents, you have to drill through the folders, the subfolders, the sub-subfolders, and so on. Okay? And of course, I know that document was there last week, or that folder was just there last month, and magically they disappear. We're all happy mouse clicker. We accidentally move things or delete things all the time. So you don't have real security of the document. And then some of you may have in-house software that have built-in document management system, okay? And most of the time, how it works is that it's within that software application, for you to view a document, you click on a link. And so it's just a link to the document, and the document is living in your network share folder. And being that they're on a network share folder again, you run into security issue. How do we restrict so Lindsay doesn't go into that folder in the share and the network share server and delete or modify that document? So this is where DocLink come in play. Okay, DocLink is an enterprise content management system. Now, some of you may have heard of the term document management. There's also record management, and there's content management. Well, DocLink, we're all of that. It's all depending on how you want to use the system. Document management is really the storage and retrieval of done and completed documents. Okay, just a file cabinet, electronic file cabinet to store and search of your documents. But then some of your documents, you want to able to track you have retention schedule that you need to apply to those documents, to able to track when those documents met its retention period so that you can get rid of those documents to comply, with for audit reasons, or able to track when the contract expires. Okay, so the ability to track the life cycle of your document, that's what we call record management. And DocLink, you can do that. But then also you have these live working documents, like let's take an example, your AP invoices. They're coming in and it needs to be routed around for review and approval and action to take upon. That's workflow, okay? And some of these documents may be PDF file, TIFF file, you may have JPEG, you may have Excel file, Word file, okay? That's what we call content. So DocLink can store files in any format. So yes, I have engineering firms storing their AutoCAD drawings. I have hospitals storing x-rays of patients. I have HR departments storing the identification pictures of the employee in JPEG. I have sheriff departments storing videos of crime scenes. So you can store files in any format within this electronic file cabinet, okay? We also have ways to automate the distribution of documents as well, okay? And also, we can also help you with electronic forms, because you have a lot of documents and forms you generate in-house that might be in a hard piece of paper. Well, we're going to show you how we can create them electronically. So at the end of the day, just know that with DocLink, you can use it in many different ways. You can just use it as just a plain file cabinets for storage and retrieval. You can track the life cycle of your document. Also, you can use DocLink as a content management, which I'm going to give you some examples today. Okay, but you can capture these documents in many different ways. You can scan them. If they come in by email, you can just simply drag and drop them into the system. You probably have a lot of documents in a network share folder. You can import those and store them into the system as well. And also you have a lot of documents that generate from your software application, which we can also capture and store to the system as well. We also have OCR technology to help allow you to batch store a whole bunch of documents into the system at one time. OCR will read the information in your documents to help minimize data entry. So we're going to talk about that as well. But before that, we have many of you sitting in the presentation today that you're using GP today, okay? GP as your ERP software. The big benefit with working with DocLink is that DocLink is fully code integrated with your GP software application, okay? And so what does that mean for you? What's the benefit for you? Being that we're fully code integrated. You can upgrade your GP at any time or DocLink at any time, and rest assured that the compatibility, the integration between the two applications are intact, okay? There are a lot of products out there, document management products, and they will tell you, oh yes, we can integrate with your GP application, but they neglect to tell you that's through a process called screen scraping. So it's kind of like integration at the surface. So when you upgrade your GP system or the document management system, the integration gets broken. So you as a customer will have to pay to redo that integration. So it can be very costly for you, okay? Also with our deep integration, you now will have two places where you will be able to search and have access to your documents. You will be able to have access to your documents within GP. But then you have a lot of staff that don't have access to GP, so they are going to search and have access to DocLink. Also, you have a lot of your customers and vendors information in GP already. We're going to reuse that data. So we're going to pull data from GP over to our system and tie that information to the document to help minimize data entry. But also, we're going to have the ability to push data over to GP as well. And we're going to talk about that, okay? So now let's talk about why you want to go paperless. Why get into document management? We, either know somebody or are aware of the recent disaster, the hurricanes, Irma, Harvey, the fires that's in California, okay? Unfortunately for those folks is that if they haven't gone paperless yet, okay, all their company information, they're gone, destroyed forever. And it's going to be very costly to reproduce those documents. But if you're a company, a customer, like a company, a property management company that of our clients in the Midwest, they took a proactive approach and implemented a paperless document management system, DocLink, because they knew that they get regular tornado all the time in their area. So one year a tornado hit and their server got destroyed, their file cabinets and documents got destroyed. But because all their data was stored on the server, backup was being done, we were able to restore all the information. So they had zero data loss. Okay. What about many of you? Your company is growing. You're acquiring new business. Business is good. Okay. And so you have to add additional staff to accommodate the growth. Well, if you were to implement a document management solution, we're going to be able to help your staff be more efficient, to be more productive, so that they will have the extra time to take on additional workload. Therefore, you don't have to add additional staff to accommodate the growth. That's a saving every year of not having to pay for that additional staff. There's the big ROI right there for you. All right, let's talk about now some example of how the system can be used in your organization. Now, we may have some people sitting in the presentation that, you're in the AP department. Maybe if you're from the sales order side of the house, or AR, or maybe you're an IT person, maybe you're a CFO or controller. Let's give you ideas of how the system can be used in your organization. Now, many of our customers, their biggest trouble spot is the AP side of the house, okay? We can't get the invoice approved on time because our CFO is always on the road or he's out on the golf course all the time, and he will approve off on the invoice until he actually see it. So we have to wait until he gets into the office. Therefore, it causes delay or penalty fee because you're late or not able to take advantage of early pay discount, or that you have to do duplicate data entry all the time. How can we help with that? The idea is get your vendors to email the invoices to you, okay? Because what we can do is we can monitor your email server for a specific email address. When they email it to you, we're going to grab those invoices automatically and we're going to store into the DocLink system. Now, if they mail it to you, you will have to scan them in, okay? Or like I said, if you have to download them from a web portal, then you will have to do that, or then we can just grab them into the system. But once it's in DocLink, this is where workflow takes over, okay? Now, workflow can be set up in two ways. It can be set up an automated way, where as long as you can flow chart out your process, as long as you can identify your task, who is supposed to perform the task, or are there any business rules? Business rules like a dollar amount business rules, where if it's over a certain dollar amount, it has to go to certain staff for approval. Or maybe you have segment rules based on the segment or based on the companies that it has to go to certain people for approval. Okay. Or maybe you decide that your rule is you want the approvers to have 24 hours to act on it. And when it's past 24 hours, you want the system to send them a reminder, but you also want the system to notify their manager. Or maybe you want to escalate it to someone else. As long as we can identify those rules, we then can set up a workflow template. So the minute the invoice comes into the system, based on your rules, workflow will notify the staff for action immediately. Now, unfortunately, some of you don't have set in stone rules, or maybe you're small and, well, sometimes it goes to Lindsay, and sometimes it has to go to Lindsay and Lauren, and sometimes it doesn't have to go to anyone. AP just cut the payment from there. Okay, so that's what we call manual workflow. So here's an example of manual workflow. Okay, invoice comes in. You look at it and then you say, oh, okay, well, based on the dollar amount or based on the vendor or based on the company, I want to send this invoice to the CFO for approval. So you selectively decide who you want to route it to from a drop-down list and when. Okay. So now I'm going to route it to the CFO for approval. Now the question is, how will the CFO know that there's an invoice waiting for his or her approval? She's at a conference right now, okay? One way is we can send out email notification for each invoice. Notice that the CFO doesn't have to be in the office. The CFO do not need to have the software loaded. All the CFO needs is access to his or her email, because attached to that email, we actually attach the document, the invoice, to that email. It will have information about what that invoice is about. And directly from the email, you can approve or reject directly from your email. So you just have to open up the attachment, look at it, and then approve off from the email. Okay. Now, when you approve or reject from email, then it's going to automatically route it to the next person based on your work, your process. But it also logs in our audit log of when, who approved it and when. Okay, it's a wonderful tool. But then you're sitting there saying, well, but we get about 1,000 invoices in a month. We're not going to want to send 1,000 emails to the CFO. Another option is we can send out an alert instead. This alert can be sent out on time basis, hourly, or at the end of the day, or the week, you decide. This alert is just to tell you that, hey, John, there are 5 invoices coming in waiting for your approval. One is overdue because you were given 24 hours to act on it. And one's been marked as priority because we want to take advantage of early pay discount. We can even add a link in this email. So John just needs to click on that link, and it will take John directly to his workflow inbox with a listing of all the documents waiting for his action or approval. Okay. Manager love these alerting tools, especially in the sales order side of the house, because they want to know how many orders came in today, how many is sitting on Joe's desk, how many is sitting on Lisa's desk. Why did Lisa process 10 orders today and Joe processed only 5 and he has 1 overdue? So you're going to be able to monitor the workload of your staff and know exactly where everything's at. Where general staff going to hate workflow because it's now accountability. So this example here, folks, I give you is an example of a workflow for AP invoices. But the key is once you own the workflow tool, you can use it for the routing and approval of any types of documents. Like I said, the processing of your orders so that AR can send out the invoice on a timely manner, or approval of expense report, or approval of vacation request, or approval of a contract. Any types of documents that need to be routed around for review and approval, you can use our workflow tool. That's another return on the investment right there too. Now, let's talk about now, the complaint I get is the duplicate data entry, okay? Here's a typical scenario. Invoice comes into the house. AP staff then routed to the approving managers. The approving manager will review the invoice, and in a lot of cases, they will write down the GL code or the account code on the invoice that they want to charge to. Then eventually it gets to AP. AP then will try to read their handwriting and then input that same data into GP. Well, that's double work right there. Waste of company staff time and, of course, chance for error. But the reason why you need to do that is because the approving managers don't have access to GP. Okay, so how can we resolve that? When an invoice comes in, workflow is going to notify the approving managers. The approving manager is going to log into DocLink. They are going to then see the invoice on the screen on the left right there. But instead of handwriting the GL code or account code on the invoice, look at to the right here. We are connected directly to GP, the master file, okay, the GL code master file in real time. We can secure it down, so based on the approving manager login, based on their department, based on their segment, that they can have access to only certain GL code only, okay? Or if there are certain vendors that you deal all the time using the same GL code, okay? So when the invoice comes in, you just type in the vendor name. It's going to go to GP. It's going to pull over all the data about that vendor along with the default GL code that you have in GP. So now the approving manager, you just need to verify if that the code is correct or not. If not, you can, if you have permission, you can select a different code if you want. So once you're done, the system is going to create a cover sheet, okay? This cover sheet just for audit reasons, to tell you who did the coding and when and what was the coding information. So now if this invoice get routed to the next person, let's say the manager, and the manager noticed that Lauren, you select the wrong GL code. If the manager have permission, the manager can make the correction, okay? And then the system will create another cover sheet of who did the correction and when and what was the correction. At this point, folks, the data is not in GP yet, okay? So once it's all good and dandy, once the AP said it's all good to go, what we're going to do is we're going to push all that coding information over to GP, okay? All that coding information to GP so that the AP staff don't have to do that same coding to reduce the double work. Now, if AP, you notice that it's the wrong code or wrong dollar or the wrong date, whatever the data is that needs to be corrected, you can still make the correction in GP or in DocLink. Doesn't matter. You can make the correction before it's posted. Once you make the correction, let's say in GP, in the back end of the database, GP will update DocLink with the corrected information. So that way you don't have to make the correction in both places. Okay. Now, you will run into some approving manager that, they don't like changes. Okay. Let's not force them to code. I don't like to select any code. I like writing it on the invoice like I normally do. Let them do that. But let's do it the paperless way. So with the system, we have annotation tools. You can draw a line, you can highlight, you can redact certain confidential information, you can add sticky notes. There's a note box area that you can type in your notes. I already mentioned that we log everything in our audit log, the approval, the denial. But we still do run into some customers that say, I still need to see the actual approval on the invoice itself, okay? Well, let's do it the paperless way, but we have approval stamp. So once you select the approval stamp, it will place a permanent stamp on the document based on your login, the day and time. Okay, so now when it gets to AP, you go into your GP system, do your coding like you normally do, and the system is going to push all that coding information from GP over to DocLink. Okay, so that's a little bit about how we can help with the coding. Okay, now part of workflow as well is delegation. If you know you're going to be out on vacation, okay, let's say, Lindsay, you're going to be out on vacation for 2 weeks. You don't have to worry about, coming back and seeing all that workload in your inbox and that the invoice is late and that you have to hurry and get it processed. You can delegate your work to other staff while you're on vacation. Okay. Now, when the invoice has been approved, you're going to process the payment in GP. When you process the payment, we have the ability to do what we call capture an image of your payment along with all the data about that payment into DocLink. So there's no need for you to print it out and scan it in. Okay. Notice that this payment here paid for multiple invoices. We are going to link this one payment to all those invoices. So that way later on, when Mr. Vendor calls up, hey, Lauren, I sent you an invoice 2 months ago and I haven't received payments yet. What's going on? Lauren, who do not have access to GP, can go into DocLink and just type in the invoice number. And when after that, if it's been paid, Lauren will see the payment number and the payment date. And if Lauren has security permission, Lauren will see a copy of that payment. And if Lauren has further permission, Lauren can email out a copy to me or print it out or save it. If you worry about this payment being reprinted, okay, when we capture an image of this payment over, we can stamp the word void or non-negotiable on this one payment. This tool, folks, are used in many different ways, not just the capture of payment. I have customers using this capture tool when they create purchase order. Okay, we can capture an image of that purchase order along with all the data about that purchase order into DocLink. Or when you create sales orders or order acknowledgement or quotes, any types of document that you create within GP or within any software application, we have the ability to capture image of it and store it into the file cabinets for you. No need to print and scan. So I already mentioned that you can view the documents within GP. But what about the staff who don't have access to GP? So here's an example of a user interface screen for the searcher. Please note, with this one system, we can accommodate multiple companies. So if you have 5 or 100 companies, we don't care. All your companies can be using our system and storing their company documents into the system. Okay. When you store documents into DocLink, you need to tell it what type of document is it. Is it an invoice? Is it a check? Is it a contract? Is it a W-9? What is it? Attached to each document type is a set of defined property values. This is fully user definable. We will work with you to define these property values. These property values are here for searching purpose and for linking different documents together. So document types here for 2 primary reasons. 1, security. When John logs in, the system is going to check which company does John have access to, and within that company, what types of documents does John have access to, and what can John do in the system? Can he print? Can he email? Can he edit? Can he approve? Can he modify? And so on. And document type is here for searching also as well. I can go in and say, hey, find for me all documents within all my companies anytime a vendor name Alltech was mentioned. Or I can filter it down. Find for me only the AP invoice within Fabricon company for Pacific invoice number. I can do wildcard search. I can do relational search. Date range search. I can do Boolean search and or not. I can even do full text searching. Full text searching is not important or needed in the accounting side of the house, but when you expand the system and use it for HR and contract and marketing and sales and project files and so on, full text searching becomes very useful. The ability to go in and say, hey, find for me all documents within all my company anytime the word alt text was mentioned or anywhere in the page. That's full text searching. But for right now, I'm just going to search based on an invoice number. Here's the system found one invoice based on that invoice number, and here's all the information about that invoice. But I can go deeper than that. Maybe Denise said, show me all the documents associated with this purchase order number. So Denise is going to select that purchase order number, and with a simple click, the system will bring up all the documents associated with that purchase order number. Imagine this for your sales order side of the house. Show me all the orders, all the documents pertaining to that particular order number. Or show me all the employee files associated with that particular employee. Okay? So now I'm just going to select them all with a simple click. The system will bring up all the documents on the same screen for me in a tile format or thumbnail format. So the idea is, folks, when you create your purchase order, we're going to capture an image of it and store into the system right away. When you receive your goods and you're doing receivings, we want you to store those packing slip and delivery document into the system right away, and those are going to get linked to the purchase order. So that way, when the AP department receives the invoice, they're going to store those into DocLink, and the invoice are going to be linked to all the purchase order and the packing slip and so on. And all those documents are available for them instantly so that they can do the matching. No more waiting for the purchasing department to get the purchase over to a copy of it over to AP. No more waiting for the office that's 2,000 miles away to get the packing slip and delivery tickets to the AP department. It's instant access. And yes, we can also do automated matching for you as well. We can talk about that in a separate conversation with you separately, okay? But so that's a little bit, folks, about the searching. And then, of course, is when you cut the payment, we capture an image of the payment into the system. We're going to link that payment to the invoice and all the associated documents. So you have a complete history from beginning to end. So this is an example use of the system for the AP department, okay? How we can help better manage your AP invoice process, okay? But then I promise you that once you start using the system, other departments are going to see how efficient you are and how fast you're able to access your documents, that they're going to want the system as well. So your documents, you can search and have access to them through the web is as another option. Also, like through the mobile device, your iPad, okay? It's multiple ways to access your information, okay? Now, many of you have corporate company credit card. And so AP, you're spending hours or days at the end of the month trying to reconsolidate those statements. Well, we can help you with that. Many banks now offer the statement in CSV format, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a template of your bank statement, like your Amex or your Visa or your MasterCard. So now at the end of the month, when the bank sends you the statement, all you have to do is log into our system. Click on that import button right there, okay? When you click, then you're going to import in that statement, that CSV file. Once you import it in, notice here that we have charges for Robert, Diana, and Benjamin. All you have to do now is just click on Create. Once you click on Create, the system will create a separate statement per each cardholder with their itemized charges. Now you use our workflow to route it to the cardholder, and then now the cardholder can append their receipt per each transaction. And yes, you can do GL coding for each of the transactions in DocLink, And then we can push all these transactions over to GP so that you don't have to do the same data entry. Okay. Well, also, some of you process orders and you do a lot of AR invoicing. How can we help you in that area? Okay. So the idea is when you create a quote from GP or from your Excel spreadsheet or another software, we don't care. When you create a quote, we're going to capture an image of it along with all the data about that quote, and we're going to store it to DocLink. Okay. So now when Mr. Customer sends you the purchase or the contract or the approval to go ahead and process that order, you can store that contract or purchase order into DocLink and get linked to the quote. Okay. And then now you're going to go into GP to create your sales order. And by the way, folks, I have customers that use a different software to create the quote, but then they use GP to create the sales order. So right now they have duplicate data entry. But because we store the quote in DocLink and we have all the data about the line item or the item, we can push all the quote information over to GP to auto-create the sales order to reduce that duplicate data entry. Okay. So now when you create your sales order, you're probably also going to create pick ticket and delivery ticket, okay, as part of your processing your order, okay? So when you deliver your goods, Mr. Customer signs that delivery ticket, and then now the driver have to bring it back and then give it to AR so the AR know when to invoice now that the goods been delivered. Well, we can automate that process, okay? So GP can add barcode to those pick ticket and delivery ticket, okay? The barcode probably going to represent the sales order number. So now when you deliver the good, Mr. Customer signs it, we can now batch scan the signed delivery ticket into our system. Our system will read the barcode and know which sales order is for, and then workflow will notify the AR person for invoicing right away, okay? Now, if you're worried, one of the biggest complaints I hear is, well, our driver loses the signed delivery ticket all the time, so AR doesn't know when to invoice if we ever invoice them. Well, using the DocLink mobile app, you can take a picture of the signed delivery ticket at the customer site. It gets uploaded to DocLink. DocLink's going to read the barcode and know, oh, that's a signed delivery ticket for order 123. And then workflow will notify AR for invoicing. So no more worry about losing the delivery ticket. The same thing for your pick ticket as well, same concept, okay? And then now, when AR goes to GP to process the AR invoice, your customer wants to have a copy of the signed delivery ticket with that invoice, or maybe a copy of the purchase order or the contract, what have you. Okay, so now AR gotta go find those documents, make copies of it, or scan it and attach it to the invoice, and then they go and open up the email, type in the email address, drag and drop it in, and then email. Wow, that's a lot of work right there. And guess what? We can eliminate all that work effort. All your AR person has to do is just create the invoice in GP, and that's it. Because once you create the AR invoice, we can capture an image of the AR invoice and store it in DocLink as part of your file cabinet. But at the same time, we're going to go into DocLink and look for that signed delivery ticket or the purchase order or the contract, and we're going to attach that to the invoice. And then we're going to read the customer email address on the invoice or in GP somewhere or in a database somewhere, and then we're going to automatically email it out to your customer for you. Or if you use electronic faxing, we can automatically fax it out for you. If we don't recognize an email address or a fax number, then we're going to send it to a default printer for you by the stack. All you have to do is create the AR invoice, and that's it. Customer then will get an email notification with the invoice attached along with the supplemental documents. Okay. I have customers using the same distribution tool when they create purchase order. They create the purchase order in GP, we automatically email it out to the vendor, okay? If you need to attach like a term and conditions or delivery instructions or a copy of that quote, we do that automatically for you. Or if you need to send out an order acknowledgement to your customer, you create it, we send it out automatically, okay? We actually use this tool, distribution tool, for our payroll, where we get direct deposit. Okay, when I travel and I come back, and I normally get this white envelope on my desk. Well, now we just process the payroll. We capture an image of the paycheck stub, and we store it into DocLink as part of my employee file. And then our distribution tool automatically send me a copy of that paycheck stub. Many ways to use the tool. So yes, we have customer where before they were printing out the invoice and then of course copying and mailing out to the customer. Just on stamp alone, folks, they save $11,000 just on postage every year. That's excluding papers and toners and the staff time of stuffing envelope. So one of some of the concern from the accounting managers is reporting and visibility to the document, okay? And also, what about some of the concern about the CFO on reducing company costs, okay? Compliancy, okay? So we have customers that have, before you going paperless, they were using an off-site storage company to store their files, manage their files, and to search for their files. They were paying $85,000 a year just for off-site storage. By going paperless, that cost can be eliminated. So I challenge you folks, if you're using off-site storage, find out what you're paying every year. And that cost, folks, can be eliminated immediately. Okay. And what about audit? Do you get regular audits? Okay. So I have actually a real customer. Before going paperless, they're a public company, international company. And she got audited one year. We're asked to produce a lot of documents that associate with this $1 million spending. Well, they can produce all the documents. So guess what? The company was fined $100,000. Yes, $100,000. That more than paid for the system itself many times. Okay, so she was determined that she would never be audited and be fined again. So they went out looking for a document management solution. They ended up with DocLink, and guess what? Since then, her number of audits been reduced. Okay, and what she does is she gives the auditor a login to DocLink. So the auditor goes into DocLink and do their own searching. She doesn't have to waste her company staff time. But if the auditor is off-site, you can go in. Hey, Denise, your company been audited. I need for you to produce for me all your AP documents for all of your companies, and all those documents have to be within a certain year. So you submit the search criteria, and in literally seconds, folks, the system will bring up the search result. Here we found 131 documents meeting that search criteria. I have been doing document management for over 18 years. I have seen systems that you can conduct a search before you go to lunch, and when you come back from lunch, it's still searching. Kind of defeat the purpose. One thing about DocLink is our speed of search. We don't care how large your database is. It could be the whole congressional library. As long as you meet our specs requirements, the system will literally find your documents within seconds. And now you can print out a report, a listing of these documents, or you can even print them with all the documents out, or email them, or even download it to a thumb drive or CD or DVD. When you download these documents, you can even include the DocLink search engine with this as well. So that way, when the auditor receives the thumb drive, they can go to that thumb drive and say, okay, find for me the AP check anytime associates pay a company called Dell Form, and it will bring up those specific documents only. And yes, I have customers using this feature in their legal department. When they go to court, they go into DocLink, search for all the documents pertaining to that case, download it to a thumb drive, so their attorney at court is doing DocLink search while their opponent is showing papers. Okay. Yes, actually this customer, this construction company, this is an old slide by the way, they have stored over 5 million documents into DocLink. And again, they able to search for the documents in literally seconds. Great time savings for you folks, okay? What about expense report? Are you still using the good old Excel spreadsheet? Well, we can help with that as well. Okay, with basic expense report, I actually use this religiously because when I travel, I lose my receipt all the time. And when I lose my receipt, I do not get reimbursed. Okay, so now what I do is when I travel, I just pull out my mobile app. And my mobile app, I can search and have access to my client file. I can have access to my workflow inbox for any documents waiting for my review and approval. I also can capture documents. Okay, I have customer where they do a site inspection. So when they go on site to do inspection, they take pictures of the site so that way it can be attached to the work order. For me, I take pictures of my receipt. Okay, so when after I'm done, the system will automatically have my name based on my login, the date of the receipt. I just need to type in the dollar amount and the purpose of the expense, and then it gets uploaded to DocLink. So now at the end of the month or when I'm ready, I just log into DocLink. When I'm back to the office, I just need to verify the charges, the receipt. Notice here automatically creates the expense report number, my division, my login, and so on. I can even, if I type in my miles, it can also auto calculate my miles as well. But once I'm done, I just click on create. And the system then will create my expense report with my itemized charges with the receipt attached. And then workflow will automatically notify my manager to approve my invoice. And then all this data get pushed over to our GP system so my accounting lady can cut out the payment for me. Okay. Literally, folks, I can get paid in the same day because it's that fast. And I have gotten paid in the same day before. Where I just submit my receipt with expense report. My manager, who's on the road all the time, can approve of literally in minutes, and then all this gets pushed over to GP, and my accounting literally can cut the payment that same day. It's that quick. We can also help. HR actually is the second most paper-intensive department in most organizations because with our tight security, we can help you comply with HIPAA requirements, and Sarbanes-Oxley, and other government-regulated policy. We can help you comply with your onboarding process. We can help you to track your employee certification, who's active, who's inactive, who's part-time, who's full-time, and so on, okay? So, like I said, help you comply with the onboarding process, making sure that all the actions been complied and done and performed when you hired this new staff. All their documents are attached. We can even electronically create these employee forms for you as well, okay? And also, we can help with contract management, another big need. Because DocLink is an enterprise content management, we have version control, check-in, check-out capability. So let's say I draft up this contract. It's in Word format. I am going to store it into DocLink, okay? DocLink now will notify my manager that there's a contract requiring his review and editing. My manager will then check that contract out. Once he checks it out, the contract's locked, so no one else can work on this same contract. Notice that contract is in Word format, okay? They can look at the contract, they just can't work on it. Once my manager is done working on it, he checks it back in. Once he checks it back in, the system will create version number 2, the date and time of when he or she works on it, and then on and on and on. So keep full versioning and history of the document. So now when I want to email this final contract to Denise, the system can convert that Word contract into TIFF or PDF format. Denise then signed it, sent it back to me, and I just stored it to DocLink for the signed executed contract. We can then apply the expiration date of that contract and the retention period of that contract. The system then can send you auto alerts to tell you when that contract is going to expire. Okay, it can send you alert, ahead of time, like 3 months or 2 months, whenever you want, so you know to track the contract and when to renew it. Okay, to be proactive. And again, we have web and mobile. On the web, folks, you can search for documents. You can workflow approval on the web. You can also do GL coding on the web as well. So you approving manager who's on the road all the time, okay, you can go into the web and able to select the GL code. You don't have to write it. You can, it's all paperless. And on the mobile app, you've already seen the demonstration of that, okay? So also, if those of you are using BI 360 reporting system, we are also integrated with that as well. So when you create the report in BI 360, there will be a link in that report. When you click on that link, it will bring up all the documents associated with that report, okay? So at the end of the day, folks, we have all the tools to help you to be as automated and as paperless as you want. And we have the tools to help you to go paperless company-wide, not just one department, but company-wide, okay? So why DocLink? I think, I've demonstrated some of the tools and the benefits, okay? But just know that we have been around for over 30 years under the same ownership. We live and breathe of the implementation and training and development of our product. So it's a solid proven system. We have over 4,000 clients using our system worldwide. We are one of the few companies that offers 24/7 support. And because this is what we do day in and out, the implementation time reduces dramatically for you, okay? And of course, between Socius folks and Alltech, you have 2 companies that's going to support you on the solution. So at this time, actually, let me see here. I am actually going to just pause for a second. I am going to actually show you our system. Let me just 1 minute here. I am going to, oops, sorry. Oh shoot, the system closed on me, but I am going to show you the system live really quick. This is actually my live system, okay? So yes, single sign-on. I don't have to log in each time, okay? It's just my network login name and password. And hopefully, actually, let me just log in here. Taking a little bit. So here, I can go into the system, okay? I can go and say, here's just a little quick demonstration of full text searching. Show me all the documents anytime the word all text mentioned on anywhere on the page, okay? So here's the system found 1,033 documents, okay? So it highlight the word, here's the document. I can just click on it and it will open up to the document, okay? So that's one example. Here we go here. Opening up the document. There's all the information about the document and there's the document itself, okay? And what about, I can go in and say, okay, find for me only the any contracts that we have in the system for a company, let's say AAA, okay? The system now found 18 documents for AAA. Notice I didn't have to type in the whole word. And I can sort it, okay? I can sort by customer number. I can sort by sales rep. I can export this report. I can view this document. Let's see, I can just highlight them all. Here we go. And I can just view them all at one time. Okay? Or I can even go even further. will show me all the documents associated with this customer here. Notice I search for contract, right? And I have here the list. But show me all the documents associated with this customer. So now the system found 30 documents. Why? Because we have now contract, we have scope, scope of work, supporting documents, and on and on. Okay. Or show me all the documents associated with this. Let's say, let's see, here we go. Let's see, with this particular documents right there. Okay, I can just open it up, and there it is. It's that simple, folks. Okay, I can go in and search based on GL code, based on a segment, based on department. Okay, all this information here. I can go and say, okay, you know what? Show me. Actually, you know what? I can have if you have regular search that you do all the time, I can create a template. Show me all of Laura's sales for 2014. Okay, here, date range search. Show me all the sales orders that came in by Laura on this date range. And I click on search. And here the system found 23. Okay. I can go in and say, okay, show me all the expense report. Let me see here. Let me see what we have. Oh, let's see, I'm going to put vendor name. I'm going to put just Laura. Okay, click on search. The system found 33 expense report, okay, for Laura. I can sort it by expense report number. I can sort it by date. I can then export this report, okay? Many different ways. All right, we're running out of time, folks. So what I'm going to do now is I want to open it up for any questions. Lindsay?
Sure. There actually are a couple questions. So the first one, where is the content managed and DocLink stored, on-premise or in the cloud?
Good question. DocLink is available in different flavors. The most popular is on-premise. So it's a one-time investment. You will own the system for life. We will install the software on your server and your environment. However, we do some customers that use a offsite cloud hosted provider server because they want all their data, everything within their company hosted on a cloud server, okay? Maybe you don't have IT, or maybe you don't want to hassle with hardware upgrade and so on. So yes, DocLink, you can purchase the software, but instead of installing on your server environment, we will install it on your hosted provider server environment. Next year, early next year, we will have SaaS environment available as well, where it's a monthly subscription. You will never own the software. Your data is going to reside on the Alltech Azure server, and you will pay a monthly fee as you go. So those are the different options.
Awesome. And then sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to ask any other questions.
Yep. The last one, can DocLink be accessed remotely over the web or on a mobile device?
Yes. So through my demonstration, like I indicated, three ways. You can log into DocLink on the client. You can go through a web portal with your login. You can search for documents. And by the way, on the web too, we have some customers that want to improve customer service to their clients and vendors. So through the web, they provide a login for their customer and vendors so they can access their documents 24/7. Okay. You can also on the web be able to search and workflow approval and do GL coding. On the mobile app, you can search and workflow approval and capture documents as well. And of course, through email, you can view documents through email and approve of an document through email. Any other questions?
Nope, those are the only two. So I guess we will just wrap things up for today. Thanks again, Laura, for joining us. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and we'll definitely get those answered if anything pops up after this webinar. But again, thanks everyone for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, folks.